This is more of a sort of a chronicle of the saga of herpes dude. I was just thinking about a piece I'm working on, I'm writing, called The Left's War on Women. And I was thinking that for Memorial Day, I could include a recognition that the veterans of the war on women should be recognized on Memorial Day, and kind of make some kind of allusion to how it is a domestic war that has been going on. Um, so then I thought I would piece together tracks, including the what ifs, the possibles, and the hypotheticals, and also my progress on opening it, which I think I met him in May, mid May. The assault happened at the end of June, or the first day of July, the morning of the first day of July. I tried to confront him July 4th on the beach, where he was assisting with security patrol. And I confronted him on the 3rd. I was dissatisfied with his response. Tried to confront him on the 4th. I was in fear for a couple of weeks, like, is he going to be calling me, or what kind of guy is he? Is he like really stalkery or not? I was relieved that he left me alone, somewhat. I knew his birthday was coming, and I arranged to meet with him on his birthday. We talked politics. There was a lot going in politics. That was our main interest. And he proceeded to tell me about ongoing romantic thing he has with his ex or his girlfriend or whatever he thinks of her as now. He says welfare mothers make better lovers is the song he's playing on the radio as she's slamming him with text messages, and that it's some kind of, I'm getting it that it's like a passive aggressive kind of, I insult you on the radio, you stalk me via text message kind of gross little domestic turmoil they're having there. And I felt really appalled that he would ridicule her single mother status over the radio and act like a stalker in that way. That was so creepy that he would use the airwaves to harass his ex. And I'm thinking, like, okay. And he tries to beg and beg to hang out with me. I explain, you were really out of control last time. You don't get out of control like that. And basically, because I'm defensive, I'm not sitting down. I know not to sit down too long with him. Like, he's somehow pushing me up against a wall. And I remember feeling like this guy's just a real creep, because he's propositioned me for oral sex. I'm looking at him like, you're just intensifying. This is like you're propositioning me. And then it's almost as if he at this point realizes I'm not that into him. So his propositioning me is just like he's not getting anywhere, because I already like the guy that I'm seeing. And he's kind of like throwing it all to the wind. So at some point, he's just trying to push me up against a wall. He kind of has this like, kind of like, well, this is cool, kind of like eating stale Doritos when you have the munchies because you smoke too much pot. Like, it's compulsive activity, but there's no point, there's no substance. And sneaky, kind of like doing something bad is the excitement to him. And I'm like not into it. He's saying I'm going to go home and masturbate because he knows I won't sleep with him. But his pinning me against the wall, I'm finding like kind of repulsive or aggressive and unfortunate. So I sign out to move within 4 days of this second. What was sort of a second attack, but I would say it was less scary. So in that sense, it was the less scary. The primary assault is the one that I make a lot of bones about. But when I think about it, just like if you look at the Taylor Swift lawsuit, each and every grope is actionable. Each and every grope, non-consented, is actionable. And I was doing what tons of women do because we're used to different kinds of guys, or like tolerating groping is not the same as enjoying touch or enjoying a consensual activity. And in the sense that I felt cornered and I was tolerant, but I was restrictive. And I remember thinking, okay, he keeps putting his arms around me, but if I can make sure I don't let him touch my breasts, then I can be somewhat cool with that. But it's all coercional. When a guy is huger than you, you feel cornered. You've been offered quid pro quo. You've been offered opportunities that you don't want to sabotage. So in that point, that's where the sort of Harvey Weinstein resonance comes in. Like, I remember feeling like, well, if I do help you with this radio show, how am I going to keep you from being gropey in the control booth or whatever? I remember feeling like, that's really scary, and maybe if Brenda comes, then you can't attack me. And is this what this is all leading up to? And I think I was thinking he was thinking about something much more political, because that, like a political talk show, like talking about politics or snide remarks about politics would be cool. So I remember after this feeling disappointed, like, oh, I guess you're not safe to be alone with, basically. And when he asked me, then on the 26th, I run into him on the river, he says, oh, I can't be that guy on the couch, meaning the guy that's pinning me down, or this is hard on Kim and her children. And he's looking off into the bay, all dreamy, thinking, I can't be the guy on the couch. And I'm sort of, in a sense, placating him about, like, yeah, it is possible to have platonic friends, and I know she doesn't understand that because she's controlling, whatever, but she's probably controlling for a reason, because he's scummy, and he'll just attack whatever female is present. But when he then asked me, oh, do you want to work at the Chisholm Center? How do you say that? Chisholm, I'm thinking, but it's spelled Chishom, Chisholm, like some maybe Swedish or something, I don't know. The home part looks Swedish, but I just say to him, oh, I thought you'd ask me that. And even the second time I hung out with him at the concert thing after he had attacked me, I remember going there thinking, maybe this is going to lead to a job, an opportunity that's going to involve food benefits or advancement or potential career opportunities. And using volunteer opportunities to seduce people or grope them is so creepy, especially if they're in the service sector or serving elderly and vulnerable people. I remember when he asked me this, I said, oh, I thought you were going to ask me that. And then me immediately thinking, like, are you going to be swatting at me, grabbing at me, groping at me? I just imagine like a cat and mouse game of me running around some kind of industrial restaurant kitchen type of a thing where they make the meals for the senior citizens. And I was just like, petrified, like cat and mouse game. And then I thought, well, okay, he's right in front of me flirting really hard with his coworker, which is, I guess, his way of saying, like, okay, cool, you're moving to Seaside, I finally get it. I shouldn't have been hitting on you to begin with because you just don't care. So it was as if I had hurt his feelings and he had finally accepted that nothing was going to happen except what he forced on me. Um, he's been like super, super hitting on his coworker. She's really gorgeous, I'll give you, but like I'm still kind of like, you're introducing me. I didn't quite get that she was his coworker all the way, but at some point I go like, isn't Chris cute? I think he's single. But that was my way of indicating like, okay, so you guys have this like massive flirtation going on. I think he's available. But I really knew that he'd slept with his ex in mid-July, in early June. He's trying to assault me in the beginning of July. So I know and then he's leading Brenda on too. So I'm thinking this guy's playing 3 women. I'm not interested. There's this woman who's so beautiful who seems very interested. But then he's kind of like, oh, she's my coworker. And I'm all like, oh, okay, this is your coworker and this is how you get on with her. That's interesting. And she sat down beside me and just this, I can't believe this is happening. And I'm thinking, in a way, when I kind of like proposition it as like, I think he's single, it was my way of also saying, I have no hold on him. Like, I have no idea why I'm even his friend or why he's attacking me or thinking he's into me or whatever. So it was sort of like a guy that you're not into trying to make you jealous or something. It's just kind of like, I don't really care, dude. Except I was starting to get worried for her because I'm thinking like, is he just like a Lothario or something? So, whew. I get the email like August 1. Oh, I'm going back to Kim. And I'm just kind of like, fine, good. I knew it. That I could tell. I got that out of you the first time I hung out with you alone. You showed me your picture. You told me about your sex life. Then you proceeded to hit on me and attack me. But I could tell you're still into her. So it was all disingenuous. And that's all the more stupid reason to be doing criminal acts on some random chick. Right? But it's stupid. But I think what it ended up doing was, because I knew the dynamic was she was like controlling and on a lockdown with him. I remember sending him this email in September, like, so kind of like, you're not my friend anymore, you're not writing me back, you don't respond. I would send him like a political article here or there. And I'm thinking like, oh, he's now like probably can't respond to me at all. So that's not going to be good for me to understand what's going on. And so I kind of just proceeded about my life, trying to have a happy life. But by the beginning of October, I had already told the guy I dated, this guy Chris Duffy has just like thrown himself at me. And I had to elaborate. Like, no, he actually did something criminal in terms of pinning me down against my will and forcing his erection through his clothes on me, fraudeurism. And my guy, who I like so much, just proceeded to go crazy. Like, off his rocker crazy. Because he'd had a bad feeling about this guy. I immediately had told him, yeah, he's throwing himself at me and he says he has herpes. And I'm like, no thanks. So at that time, I'm finally like relocated. I'm in Seaside where my guy lives. So I feel safer. Like, okay, I've got my guy. Like, especially at night, because I didn't like the fact that Duffy only respected my physical autonomy if George was there to protect me from him. So this whole thing where we're having this big connection, like I thought there was this big connection. No, there was grooming going on to groom me, or some attempt to poach me. It was kind of a form of bullying of George, like, watch while I steal your girlfriend. Oh, I'm so cool like that. Ho, 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 ho. And it's like, no, you can't. And I think a part of me briefly got so scrambled by all his like loving signals that a lot of my forgiveness and not calling him out on the carpet, which I plan to do immediately, which I mean, I tried to October 28th. I basically put it in writing, like, you pinned me down, that was wrong, why did you do that, don't do that to anyone else, do you abuse your girlfriend? And he just blew me off, right? And I thought about, maybe I'll put it in writing to this female detective I know in Astoria who will listen. And I couldn't find the words. And I think part of it is I was caught up in the feeling of, well, who's my friend now? Brenda? Is she my friend? No, she's been mean to me. She set me up with this guy who attacked me, and then she blamed me. Is the guy I see is basically saying, blaming me for even knowing him, and I don't think that's even slightly fair, but he's just more out of range, so he's not being much of a help. I asked him, why didn't you just go to his work and tell him to leave me alone and to never touch me again? And he wouldn't, so I felt like let down. Like, then I'm thinking like, well, how do I tell anybody at his work? The only person I think to tell who's going to get it is his female coworker who he's also been macking on. And she's like, oh, he would never do that. And I'm like, oh, great. And then the whole recreation center deal closes down for like 6 weeks of renovation. So that left this everything in a gray zone. And I remember being petrified on Thanksgiving. I was at his side of the community center hoping like, oh my God, I hope he's not here. And he wasn't. So that was way cool. But the whole time I'm just feeling sick. Like I can't get services of like a low income meal because I'm so worried about this guy who's attacked me and tried to seduce me and proposition me and grope me and harass me and offer me things. He offered to be my roommate. He offered me jobs. At one point, somebody had left like a magnet on my refrigerator saying they wanted to buy me shoes, or can I buy you shoes? And I was like, did you leave that on my refrigerator, like in these TV parties? And he was like, well, I might have as well have. So in a sense, he was offering to buy me things, and he might have been the one who left that. I don't know. I hoped, well, okay, if the friendship's gonna go okay, we really do enjoy talking, so I can possibly just overlook your your horrible, gropey creepiness. So I just tried to overlook it, and I kept sending him like kind of like little toe in the water emails, like here's a song or here's an article. And I just realized he's doing like the permanent blow off because that's all he knows to do. When I see him in December, he finally says, oh, hi guys, Happy New Year. And every time I see him, I feel massive amounts of panic and disgust. Sick. I feel sick. And my realization this week is the sickness I feel around him is because he is a predator and he is a danger. And the fear I feel of walking down the street when I know he's on his work shift, don't even get me started about his like management or how they would let this go on this long. I let it go on too long by trying to brainwash myself into thinking he could redeem everything through a friendship or an apology. I finally got the apology when his boss twisted his arm in February. Why does this repeat in people's heads? Because the violence is like a cancer that takes up space in your brain. If everything were cool, he would have respected me, respected the parameters, and we could have remained friends. But part of why I like how it worked out is by him letting me know what a scumbag he was right off the bat. I was no longer even really interested in him as a friend. It was more like he was someone I pitied who had criminal conduct, who I wasn't sure how and when I would turn in. And I immediately thought I would turn him in immediately after the incident. So it was kind of like the day after. So I realized my attempts at communication were to maintain his trail and understand his whereabouts and who he operates with till I could get him. So we gotcha.